All right, who'd like to start out? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm here. I'm trying to get my business started, and I had questions about the marketing. And maybe I'm in the wrong thing, but I thought that maybe this is kind of one of the things that we could address.
Absolutely. This call is for any questions you have about starting your business or growing your business.
Mhm.
And a big focus for a lot of us is the marketing. That's a mysterious piece, or, to get it right and to really get it to work. So let's start with your marketing questions.
Well, I haven't really done any. I haven't done any marketing. I'm still working on. I went to a SCORE meeting in Buffalo a couple Saturdays ago, and they talked about business plans, and it explained a lot of things I didn't really understand. I'm always worked for an employer.
Okay.
So I've been working on my vision and my mission. I still am brainstorming that. I'm working on getting a different business card. When I was taking the coaching class I took before, I made a business card just to celebrate my accomplishments as becoming, a holistic nurse. I'm a registered nurse, and certified clinical aromatherapist, and, those things. But now I want to work on, I'm retired. I left the hospital, stopped working during COVID. I actually retired and went back to work during COVID, and then I quit because it was just so stressful.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been off, not working in the hospital since last April. So I'm
Okay.
doing some different things to learn the business part. I know what the Form C is now. I've been asking questions, but I haven't really, other than the volunteers I've had, I haven't really reached out to anyone. I guess I just don't feel confident enough or something, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the education that I'm getting through SCORE, through the webinars, through something like this, and a peer support that I met during the SCORE thing in Buffalo, we're connecting, and I've actually been doing more research and feeling more confident to make that next step.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, today I got a phone call from the Prendergast Library in Jamestown. They're going to help me learn how to do the Excel. I tried to teach myself and I couldn't do it. So it's like, I need help.
Once you get started, it'll be easier to build on your to build out from the base, but
Right.
it is a little, it's good to get a little help to get started, to learn the basics. So,
Yeah.
well, do you have a specific question then? Or are you here to kind of just listen in general and learn in general?
Yes, listen and learn.
Okay.
And what maybe works, because I have put out to all my volunteers that I had that were really great, but nobody's really gotten back to committing to wanting to continue coaching because people are just busy right now.
Mm-hmm.
So beyond that, I haven't taken the next step.
Okay. All right. Thank you for starting us out.
Thank you.
Who else has a question or a challenge that you're working with?
I'll say something.
All right, Marcia.
I think Linda and I might be on the same wave right now. I finished, took my exam at the end of June, and I kind of mentally just needed to have some freedom from everything. And then July was very busy. Half of August was very busy. Here we are in September. So now I feel like I need to get my eggs in the right basket here.
Got it.
I also feel overwhelmed because there's so many avenues I like, but I don't really know how to market myself properly. And I've done a lot of, watching videos and reading online and et cetera, et cetera. And I think it almost makes things more confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really need to have just one patient population, client population, or do you just put yourself out there to get started? I think
Mhm.
that's where I'm struggling right now. I
Okay.
haven't, I'm glad Linda went to the SCORE avenue because I was looking at that as well, because I really don't want to spend a lot of money up
Mhm.
front to do it. I kind of want to recap the money I've already spent trying to get the certification. I'm also retired,
Mhm.
and so I want to make some money, but I don't need to make a living, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just very bare bones trying to get a template of something in order, and it's just very overwhelming.
Okay. Well, so do you mind if I just go ahead and hear the things that are on the other three people's minds? And then I think that I can, respond maybe to more than one of you at once with if there's overlapping areas. Okay. All right. Who wants to then share next something that is a challenge for you? And it's okay if it's different than the first two, but I'm just being aware that others might have similar questions.
I'd be happy to go next.
Okay.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. I recently made a move about a year ago, and just before that, I got my board certification as a holistic nurse and a nurse and wellness, health and wellness nurse coach. And when I made the move, in order to make the move, I had to get a job. And I did apply for some nurse coaching jobs and was invited to interview for a couple of them. But they were both in Denver. I'm in Fort Collins, and I didn't want to live in a big city like that.
Yeah.
And so I've kind of been shopping around. I'm happy at the job I'm at right now, which is in a private duty pediatric nurse.
Mhm.
And most of my past clinical experience has been in hospice.
Mhm.
And I'm getting ready to retire in the next 3 years. Retire, that is, from a paid position where I have an employer. And so I have some time to build the health and wellness nurse coaching business, which is my goal. And that's why I was interested in participating in the things that you've sent out, and was glad to see it. And I've got some business background, and so that's helpful too. And but at first, it was my plan to only build a business that would be face to face, one-on-one with a person, or one-on-two. I've done some coaching with couples and things like that, but now I can see the advantage of actually building a coaching business online so that you aren't bound to one place geographically.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm interested in, and what I would like to learn more about is how to build a business online. The marketing part seems to me, and maybe I'm just naive, but it does seem to me that the marketing can happen pretty organically as soon as you get things set up online. So I don't know if that's simplistic or not. Anyway, I think that kind of sums up what I'm looking for.
Okay, thank you. And you pronounce your name Scothia? Scothia?
There you go. Boy's name
Scothia.
Scott Thea.
Okay, thank you, Scothia.
Mhm.
Now we have Mary and Maria who would like to share.
I can go. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm actually sitting for my exam for the nurse coach certification on Monday, which is exciting. And I also just want to be done with that piece of it.
Yeah.
So I've been, I'm going to be taking a position that is, allows more time to devote to developing a nurse coach practice. So that'll be happening in October. And I'm also like, I applied for my LLC and have been looking into malpractice insurance. And so I've been doing work to get things started. But I still kind of feel like I don't know what I'm doing. It's all new. Like they don't teach you this kind of stuff in nursing school. So, I have been trying to surround myself with people who do know what they're doing. I also connected with SCORE, and they are a wonderful organization. I was put together with a coach who is a retired speech pathologist who owned her own business. So she knows like the licensing part, and she's in the same state that I'm in. So it's been helpful to have conversations with her. I also found an attorney that specializes in clinicians with private businesses who can do like contract reviews. Actually, I had him review the contract for this job that I'm taking because it's a 1099 job. So it's exciting, it's terrifying at the same time. And I think right now, a lot of my questions are in the realm of the legal piece of it. And one that kind of keeps swirling around my head is because I've heard so many different answers to the question about when you're practicing as a nurse coach, you know, and it kind of goes along with what Kathia was saying about the online part of it, right? That are you limited to the state that you're licensed in? I live in Illinois and it is not a compact state. So my license is only in the state of Illinois. So I've heard some people say, if the person that you're coaching is not expecting a nurse, if they're not expecting to get the knowledge of a nurse, then you can practice anywhere because it's not regulated. But if your client is expecting a nurse coach, then you're limited to your license territory. So that part to me, like my gut is telling me that you should just stay where you're licensed, but I don't also want to let go of opportunities that may come up that are outside of the state that I live in, that I'm licensed in. So if you could speak on that, I would appreciate your thoughts about it. I've actually heard a statement from ANA Illinois that said pretty much what I just said, that if your client's not expecting a nurse, then you're fine. But if they're not, then, or if they are expecting a nurse, then you're not fine. You need to be licensed in the state that that person's in. Just from my own, I have like background in risk management also. And like that hat, when I put that hat on, that part of me says, do not risk your license, because you know, you have that knowledge and you have that license. And so, you know, is it an expectation that you are bringing that to the coaching relationship, even though you're not claiming that you are, you know? So those are my 2 thoughts, or 2 cents.
Okay, well, I actually love that question, and I'd be happy to answer it. And let's just hear from Maria first, and then I'll probably take the license and question, you know, first to kind of to handle that first. But you go ahead, Maria. What's on your mind today?
Well, I guess as I'm here, I'm like, maybe it's not for this call, but so I'm Maria, I'm in Portland, and I started my business this year, and it is for full-time income. So, and Sharon actually is my coach, and I'm kind of working through some of her program and process. And so at this time, I am working this week on my next project proposal. It's for that Bonneville Power Agency. And all they want for the proposal is like a course description, the learning objectives, and like your fees. And I think I'm starting to bog myself down. So I don't know if there's just any way to get me back on track of, it's a 1-hour virtual webinar for field staff. So people who are in these remote rural areas who may not be as receptive to terms of like mindfulness, or, I really am trying to be mindful of how I'm presenting some of this like burnout prevention material. But I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I know the manager who will be reviewing the contract wants it specifically like burnout, resiliency, and how is it connected to psychological safety. And then I did get from the field managers this is all like new to them. They don't even know how to address it. And so they just want like tools of how do you know like the signs of burnout to try to prevent it or work through it, and like some simple tools. And also very clear that that the reason for the burnout is because of staffing issues that they aren't going to be able to tackle. So what can we focus on that I can control? But as I'm writing it, I'm like, I feel like there's so much, and how do I kind of keep my focus, because it really is going to be the basic bullet to the point in 1 hour. So that's, I think, where I'm at. And again, if that's more appropriate to email outside of this call, then that's fine as well.
Okay, wonderful, Maria. Well, then, since your question's a little more advanced, I'm going to save it for the last and answer the starter questions first. And I hope you get time for yours, because I think everyone will get something also from listening to what you're working with. So I'm glad you're here. This is good. So, okay, let's start with Mary's question about the nurse coaching. How do you stay legal with that? So I have to preface this with that I am not a lawyer. So what I'm about to say is not legal advice, okay? However, I've talked to many lawyers practicing in different states. And what I'm going to share is a synopsis of what they've told me. You do want to, of course, be sure you check with your ANA, local ANA, or some kind of, get some guidance from your state that you're in to make sure that what I say will match what your situation is with your Nurse Practice Act. So if you think about, okay, if you start with your Nurse Practice Act, in every state, the Nurse Practice Act tells you what you must do. Like you must graduate from a accredited school, you must keep up certain CE hours in most cases, you must do certain things. And then it also tells you what you must not do. You can't medically diagnose, you can't do drugs, all those not things that you can't do. And I like to think of those as two boundaries. One is what you have to do. If you think of a road, going down a road, there's the pavement and there's the markers on the edge of the road. And then there's off-roading, off of that pavement. So you want to stay where you're safe is staying on the pavement, not going off-road. So look at what the state Nurse Practice Act says you must do and what you must not do. Think of those as your boundaries of your lane. And then inside your lane is everything you can do. And you get the information about what you can do from your standards of practice. Now, if you're a specialist, like a nurse coach, there aren't any nurse coach standards yet, but there's the competencies, that AHNCC has, and also in the book of competencies. So until nurse coaching is developed enough to have standards, we have our competencies, and that's what you can do. So that's your lane. And you can feel very safe, in my view, on staying in those competencies and practicing within your state. The state tells you if you cannot, for instance, most states say you have to have a license in that state to practice. So in case of a non-compact state, you're looking at practicing in your state. Now let's get into the details of that little statement, because there's things to unpack there. If the nursing license is all about you helping people with what? Their health, correct? health and wellness, and safety. So if you're practicing in that area, there's two ways you can, you're in your license, and that would require a nursing license if you're going to customize what you're doing with the person to meet their individual needs. However, if you're doing strictly coaching questions, or if you're doing strictly education, teaching general education, like what is diabetes, what foods cause your blood sugar to go up, and not customizing it to the client, but just staying general, anybody can do that without a nursing license. So you can do that general level of health education across state lines and be pretty comfortable and that you're safe doing general health education. But if you go into a personal consultation, that's when you're going into using your nursing practice. Okay. And it doesn't matter, there is advice floating around out there, and some of it's from lawyers who are poorly informed, that if you just don't list your credentials, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be bound by your nursing license, but that's not true. If you have a license, you're bound by it, whether you promote yourself as a nurse or not. And whether people are aware you're a nurse or not, you're still bound by your license. Okay. So I'll give you a couple examples and I want to turn it over, open it up for questions, because it's in applying it that really gets, where it makes a difference. So I'm a nurse coach and I coach nurses to help them grow their businesses. Now, that's not really part of a nursing license. So I can feel very comfortable doing that across state lines and not threatening my license. Doesn't have anything to do with individual health. And if I decided to coach one of you on your blood pressure medication or something, or how to handle your risk factors, then I would be over in the line of the nursing practice with my license. Okay, does that can you see that distinction?
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so what additional questions do any of you, let's start with Mary. Do you have more questions around that topic?
So if there's a coaching relationship and the focus of that coaching is on something that is not related to their health. So something that I seem to be drawn into is coaching related to transition. So job changes, retirement, what do I want to do when I grow up again kind of thing. Like it seems like that has become my niche, and it was not intentional, but it just seems like that's the way that it went. And I like it, but that's not really, see, I could see it as that's okay, that's not health, so that would be okay, but it could be mental health, right? So
it could be, but it depends how you hold it and frame it.
Okay.
If you're inviting people with mental illness or mental health challenges to consult with you, then yes, it's clearly a mental health practice. If you're inviting people that work with you who are looking at making transitions in their life,
Mhm.
Then it's a different thing.
Yeah, and it's in my coaching agreement that they, that's spelled out, that this is the counseling, this is for somebody who's mentally healthy, encouraging, counseling or therapy when it's needed. That's not what this is, that's there. Maybe I'm like thinking about it too much. It's too much that
it's a good that you're thinking it through, and especially because you have that risk management background. I think
yeah,
you're being very responsible. I
Yeah.
think, and I agree, that's another nuance. In your coaching agreement, you want to say those things that you said just now, and say that you will refer anyone who is
Yeah.
struggling with mental health,
Mhm,
with their mental health, and then do
mhm,
that for sure, refer them out
mhm.
for those problems.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. No one's explained it that way to me, but it makes so much sense the way that you framed it.
Well, good, good. For 3 years, I was the holistic nurse practice specialist at the American Holistic Nurses Association. And I worked very closely with Terry Roberts, the director, and she is an RN and a lawyer as well. And she before she ran the American Holistic Nurses Association, she ran the Kansas State Nurses Association. So she's very well educated about these kinds of issues. And I was able to bring nurses when I was helping and coaching nurses who would call AHNA with these questions. If I wasn't sure how I was answering them, I could ask Terry. And that's where I was able to build, my understanding about this issue she was the best source. And, I've checked with others too, but she helped me put together how to talk about this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I wanted to say something else to you about that niche. I think it's a good niche for a nurse. Oh, here it is. The other thing is, now you have your nurse coaching education and credential. You'll want to also get some education. It can be CE or non-CE, but get some strong education in this area that you're wanting to go into, and keep that documentation in your portfolio and keep it
Okay.
refreshed every few years, because that's part of what our license says as
Mhm.
well, is that whatever that we get education to keep our competencies in the areas of our practice. So that would help you, support you in case anybody questioned it.
Also, not something I thought of, so thank you.
Mhm. You're welcome. Does anybody else in the group have any questions about that, chunk of information? And how it might apply to
Or
them?
perhaps if I could just make a comment and then you can tell me whether I'm correct or not, because of course, the nature, I feel like the nature of a health and wellness nurse coach is not necessarily to advise, but to help a person come to their own conclusions about their health. We are certainly there to educate in a general sense, but we are not there to be making recommendations. We're there to help them find their own internal wisdom and strength to do what they already have in their mind they need to do. And so working within that parameter has always kept me feeling like I would not be working outside of the scope as a health and wellness nurse coach, but also would not be violating anything that could threaten my license. Am I making correct statements there or not?
You are correctly representing what I'm sure you've been taught in your coaching program. And I feel confident that that will be legally clarified down the road.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I don't think it's been legally clarified yet in any kind of solid way. I don't think we have test cases and a body of evidence that would, 100% back you up with that. I also think, and this could just be me, probably is, I find it very hard not to give education or mentoring along with my coaching. I'm not doing health coaching now. I did it for an integrative medical clinic for a few years. And I was not able to keep a 100% tight container of only asking questions and helping the person find their own answers. Sometimes I just felt, I just would help them in a little more direct, personal way. Now, I didn't
Sure.
I didn't have to worry about that because I was in my state where I had my license. So, but if you're talking about a practice that goes beyond your state where you're licensed, I think it's a matter of you'll need to assess for yourself what you're comfortable with in that area.
Sure.
And I also want to say, think about how many millions of people are in your state too. And
Sure.
being remote, being able to reach them by Zoom or other virtual ways could give you a plentiful practice, more than likely, unless you have extremely narrow niche. So that's just something else to think about. Do you have any more conversation around that you'd like to have? Is there anything else you'd like to explore in that about that question? I think maybe her internet is frozen since we're not seeing you move. Oh, your kitty moved. Okay, well, if you have other questions, we can come back to that. Okay, Marcia and Linda. So where to start, how to navigate moments of overwhelm. Do you really need to specialize in your niche and your audience? Is that sort of the basket of things that are on your mind?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So first of all, I have Nurse Entrepreneur Starter Kit course that you're all welcome to. I think I built it for nurses who are right at the level you are, where you've got ideas, you're wanting to start, it's feeling overwhelming, and you'd like to have sort of a step-by-step plan to get started. And I charge $1 for this course. Okay. So I'm mostly working with nurses who already have a business, but I want to help everybody. So that's why I made this program for nurses who are just getting started. And I will drop the URL to that into the chat if you want to check it out. And it's actually something that is part of building a successful business. So much so that if you get down the road and you're not, and a person's having trouble thriving, sometimes they need to go back to these very beginning steps and pick up something that they missed back there.
Did that come up and I didn't catch it, or?
I put it in the chat just now.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, do you see it there?
Okay.
Maria, you've been through the starter kit. Is there anything you want to share with them about it?
Yeah, I mean, especially the fact that it's only $1, it's kind of, why wouldn't you? But because I started this, I found it in March, I guess, of this year, so not that long ago. And I'd thought about a business for quite a few years, and I even dabbled in it like 7 years ago or something, and really was in the wrong program. But when I came across this, what I needed was I knew I needed professional guidance and just like step by step the process. Like I have no background in business education, and the beauty of this is it really does align with nursing model, nursing process, nursing ethics, and it's really step by step and clear, and also really addresses those mindsets that come up that of, what am I doing? Can I really do this? Because that's a huge piece of the business as well. To tackle all the mental stuff that goes along with it. And this program also addresses that and has tools and education around that. So I think it's just a nice blend, and really, I think lays out like the foundation, and can really show you where you're at. And if you're really serious about it, you might make some different choices than where you're at right now. And I think my thought was always like, yeah, first I got to get a website and this and that, and that really actually is not, that's like way down the road. So I think, I didn't know, because I don't like, that's just what you see on the internet. So it's, I think really been a helpful tool and has helped me progress then to investing in Sharon's coaching program, and has, I've made a way more progress by September than I think I would have if I had none of that. And I feel safer as well, because I had very similar questions as Mary at the very start. I just thought like, well, I don't want to violate my license, and how do I maintain, or maybe I should just let my license go. So I've gained more confidence too, and what we can and cannot do with our license. And it's a lot more expansive than I ever realized. So yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so to get back to your questions, Linda and Marcia, yes, it is important to have a specific niche and a specific audience that you serve, and that you help them solve a specific problem. However, you don't have to have that right from day one. It's best to keep the door open for yourself to explore. And first of all, for you to look at yourself. That's one of the things that the starter kit helps with, is to look at yourself, your own talents and gifts and strengths, and help you, from all the possibilities that you could do, narrow at least your vision to what you know are your strengths and where your experience has been, where your passion is. And then begin to know how to talk about what it is you offer. That, and then just work with, like you say, working with your volunteers for free, and then starting to charge something. By doing that, you're going to get a sense of, oh, I really like this work, this topic, this type of person. I like to do that work better than I like to do this other work. And it takes a little experience, just and experimenting, just to find out what you actually really like to do. Okay. Now, Maria started coaching with me. She had already quit her full-time job, and she needed to hit the pavement and get her business going. But she had the advantage that in her full-time job, she had been working with the audience with a problem that was very clear and defined. So she had the initial steps of experience with the audience and the problem already down, that she could just transplant that experience into another garden, of her own business. So we're each unique in what we bring to it. And I don't recommend that most beginners start with private coaching. It's expensive, and it's just not appropriate. You need more like time to just start some seedlings. I use gardening metaphors a lot because I think it applies to business. So I think when you're starting, you want to, pick a few seeds, prepare the soil, and you are the soil where your business will grow. So you prepare yourself, pick some different kinds of seeds and sprout them, and do a little, find out how they grow in your soil, and what they need to grow, how much sun, how much rain, water, all those things, and then you'll get a sense, maybe if you do that for a season, like 90 days or something, you will get a more clear sense, and you want to let your own experience guide you. But yes, over time, the more focused and you get, the easier it will be to have a thriving business. Okay. And we could use the gardening metaphor in that way too. Let's say if you try to grow 10 different flowers commercially, and that would be a big project to get off the ground and start making money and have it all work. But if you just grew chrysanthemums, you could just find out what they needed and really do well with chrysanthemums before you added some more flowers. And you know, that's the basic principle. Because most of us don't have thousands of dollars to invest in a big commercial operation and learn a lot of things at once. It's more economically realistic to learn one thing and do it well. So to go have a narrow focus and go deep. So we really serve those chrysanthemum people, you know, those clients, serve them well, help them get really strong results so that can attract other people with that same problem, and you can confidently serve them and help them get results as well.
Sounds so easy.
Oh yeah, it sounds really easy, but no, it's not. But it does also help with overwhelm. When you're ready to move into more of a focus, then the more focused you get, you have less variables. You know, like just think about if you tried to be a peds nurse, an oncology nurse, surgical nurse, you know, cardiology, and you try to do all of those well at the same, that's, I don't know who can do that. But we start as generalists, that's how we start. But then over time, we gravitate toward the specialty that we resonate with. And it's going to be the same in your business. You'll have less stress, and people can find you who need you if they know what you do, you know, that you have a certain thing you do. What's your response? What's your other next questions around that?
So maybe I should just stay off the internet and stop looking at everybody else's stuff, because maybe that is why everybody seems so perfect and all put together. And it's like, how'd they get that way? You know, and it's, how long did it take? So for instance, my probably gut passion would be, I just like to help people eat better. I'm not a nutritionist. I know a lot about it, but I'm not a nutritionist. And I also like stress management. So I think the two together, whatever, would be plenty for me to start with. But then I second guess myself. Should I get some kind of nutrition certification like now to better prepare for that? Or is that something I just do when I find out that's what I really like, which is kind of what you were saying, or that's the seed that will grow best in my little garden. So, I mean, I have ideas, I just haven't put them into any kind of structure yet.
Yeah.
I think that your entrepreneur kit sounds very interesting. I'm going to look at that for sure. Just guidance from someone that's, you know, I feel like I can trust. And also, I just met somebody that has done it.
Yeah, it's really important to have guidance from people we trust when we're starting out in this completely brand new territory called business. It's a big territory, and a lot of places where we can get lost or even misled by people who are looking out for their own interests, not ours so much as theirs. So, yeah, I think, okay, so I'll just comment on this briefly, and then I want to see if Linda has questions too, and then come back to Maria. So nutrition, you know, way back in Florence's day, there weren't nutritionists. Nurses were it. We had covered all the bases, okay? And over time, gradually, because we stayed so much in the whole person and the caregiving at the bedside and following the doctor's orders, we lost our autonomy as a professional that could handle these different areas of nutrition and music therapy, art therapy, all those things were massage. We did all that originally, but then others, you know, professions came up to fulfill the need. So in nutrition, you know, your license covers you to do that. However, you will need to get some kind of additional training in it if you want that to be your specialty.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be a super expensive program. It just needs to meet your needs to have competency in what you are actually providing. Mary says she remembers massage training in nursing school. Yeah, I do too. We were taught to do back rubs at night. That was part of the evening shift, right?
Yeah.
Think I wouldn't be in a hurry. You know, when you're give yourself time to feel your way for a while. And here's another metaphor. You may or may not like it, but I like to use the metaphor of you're going to date a few niches before you marry one. Okay. So just, you know, try them on for size, try them on to see how you feel in relationship with these different audiences and different problems. And don't invest in websites or anything that's going to cost you money significant money until you've gotten far enough along to feel like, yes, this is where you're going to be happy long term. That makes sense.
Mhm.
And in the meantime, you can attend a lot of different educational things. You could look on the internet and see what other people are doing around nutrition coaching. You know, there's a lot of market research things you can do and kind of then try some mini versions of that for yourself and see how it feels. And lots of different populations. Nutrition is a whole realm. So there's so many different populations of people with entirely different needs
Mhm.
within that. And you'll want to be, not now, but before you make big investments and commitments, get a sense of what type of population you want to help to go deep with. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Linda, where are you at with all this?
Oh, no, this is great. SCORE was great. But it was more generalized. It wasn't specific to having a nursing license, which that's been in the back of my mind. Like, what kind of coach am I really? I haven't done any of the other, there are several pathways to different types of certification, health and wellness, and whatever the others are, you know, whole health nursing, stuff like that. I didn't really I couldn't decide which to do, and I'm not working. And if you did the holistic one, you really needed to work because you had to log hours, and should have kept my job, but I really couldn't at the time. But the interesting thing happened was I coached this last week. It was a volunteer thing. And a couple of times I've coached people, nurses, both were nurses, and it turned out their passion was creative arts. And how to find time for that, to do things they love, because nurses, we don't take time to do the things we love.
Yeah.
And both sessions were really awesome. And when I went to Goddard, which was through the I started out with Seeds and Bridges, talk about gardening, and it was the Birch Tree Center.
Yeah.
Birch Tree program. And then I went to Goddard, then I did the holistic nurse mom. My senior paper was healing nurses through art and nature. And it wasn't work at all coaching those people. It was so awesome. I don't know. I don't know how do you find these people to coach and to talk what you represent? But that's just popped into my head within the last week. You know, that's what I really enjoy. That's what my passion is, and helping people find their passion.
Well, I'm sure that online you could offer coaching services to nurses around their art, all those things you just described. There's a need for that, and I don't feel that would be something you'd have to worry about your compact, you know, your license and being in a compact state kind of thing. So if that's something you absolutely loved doing in the past, yeah, I would encourage you to let that idea percolate some more and ask yourself, what do you need to explore that? What would your next steps look like to explore that?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, Maria says date it.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun date. Let's go to some art supply stores. I don't know.
Oh, that's danger, danger,
I
danger.
know, or no, almost as bad as a bookstore or a quilt shop. Yeah.
Well, speaking of Maria, let's give you the last bit of time here, Maria. So okay, I'll just sum up where she's at. So she wants to write a proposal for a company. Maria is helping individuals, but her clients are the companies that the individuals work for. Okay, so she's like a wellness consultant for companies.
Hmm.
And so she's been doing some market research, finding about who to talk to in different companies that would be in touch with their company's needs around this, and finding out what their problem is and what their desired outcome is. Okay, so she's using a population model in a way, working with the companies, but she's still looking at the company as if it's the client, with assessing their needs. Okay. So she has an opportunity to present a proposal, and we'll go over this in her next coaching call with me. But let's give you a few minutes right now. What's one question that you'd like us to look at right now, Maria? You said you felt like you were getting kind of spread out and you want to focus it in for that 1 hour that you'll be teaching.
Yeah. I don't even know how to add. I think, and maybe that's just it, just to remind myself, like the topic seems pretty broad, and yet it's like 1 hour to present to I don't know, I'm going to call it a more challenging population to be receptive, because I think the burnout, that one feedback specifically was they don't want more training on how to deal with their personal lives. They just want to be able to focus on the work, get more staff. That's the problem, not like how to manage their lives outside of there. So yeah, I think it might be a bigger question than can be brought here.
Well, I'll just ask you some questions then for you to think
Sure.
about, and we can work on this some more. So this is for your presentation for the management in the business, and then from that they'll decide if they want to hire you for these other workshops, a series.
So it's like, it's just going to be, this 1 hour workshop that'll be done multiple times. But the first step is to put the proposal in. If they accept it, the next step is to do a test teach. So actually prepare the whole
Okay, gotcha.
webinar, PowerPoint, and I'll do it for them. And then after that, I find out if it's a go or not.
Okay, so remember when you gave your presentation in Washington, D.C.?
Mm-hmm.
And you remember on the evaluations how there were some things that people said, this was my takeaway. This is actionable. I recommend that you look back at that and think about, is there something in there that you could deliver in an hour that they could take home, take away, that's actionable, and they actually could make a difference. Even if it's a small difference, having a win where you actually can feel a difference gives people more energy and more vision and hope. Oh, I could learn. I learned that, it helped. I could learn something more in the future.
Okay. I mean, I have my ideas on like what some simple, very basic. I think that's what it's been, is just like really scaling it back.
Yeah.
Like really back to the basics.
When you worked at the VA, was there anyone that you can think of that was sort of like an exemplar for this type of person?
I mean, most of the veterans. Can I think so? Yes, I'm trying to. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where. Yeah.
I suggest you think about
just one,
and think of their face. Think about all the personal characteristics, and see if you can create your presentation speaking to that person.
Okay. That helps.
What could
Yeah.
move the needle for that person to
Yeah.
swim.
Because it was informed like 60% of their staff, field staff, are former military. So that's my buy-in, my link to so okay. I think this is just helping me to like get back into it.
It's tough when there's a big problem and we only have a tiny little opportunity to help. That's one of the challenges, but that's where, again, of course, your mindset and your belief in what you're doing over the long arc, and that this is one little piece
Yeah.
toward that.
I think that's what I've had to do is accept it's not going to create the big change, but if it's just planting some of those seeds, and even with their field managers, as they start to think about that this is a problem that's not going away,
Mhm.
you know, I can feel good about that. And, you know, acknowledging the bigger picture and what we can focus on and what we are going to focus on. So, okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome. My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, we have just time to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for coming. I hold this space available every month on the first Tuesday. You're always welcome, but you do need to RSVP each month because, you know, if nobody tells me they're coming, I will go do something else that during an hour. So it looks like somebody else is just now entering the room, waiting room. So I'll let her in. And do any of you have anything you'd like to say as we wind up?
I just want to say thank you and good night.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. This is really helpful.
You're welcome. Very welcome. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Hi, Christina.
Oh, hi. Did I join the wrong time?
Yes, we're just now ending. You might have had a time zone thing.
Okay, I must have had a time zone thing.
Yeah, but I'll take a few minutes with you. So I'm Sharon Burch. I'm the director of New Directions for Nurses. Hi. And this is Marcia Smith. Oh, she just left. So Christina, where do you live and what are you up to?
So right now I'm temporarily living in Michigan. Live in Oregon normally. I'm moved back to Michigan because I had to adopt my baby niece.
Oh,
My sister and brother-in-law had a baby and they're drug addicts. And
oh,
so I moved back in March and I've been kind of here waiting for the adoption stuff to get final or final enough to let me go back to my husband in Oregon. He's from Oregon. So
wow.
life's been a little struggle right now for me. And then my mom's also in hospice. So I'm not doing
Your
so well.
mom's in hospice too?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but yeah, I've been trying to start up my own business. I'm board certified nurse coach. And well, I have my own, so transformational wellness coaching is the name. And I guess I'm almost through with getting everything set up. I haven't really worked on the website yet because people told me not to worry about that yet and just
No,
start
don't
worrying
worry.
about clients and things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'm gonna be trying to get clients hopefully and
Yeah.
just figuring out how to do that.
Your plate is really full. Do you, have you had any business training at all in the past?
Business training? No.
Okay, so I only have a few minutes here, but I'd like to just suggest that you get my Nurse Entrepreneur Starter Kit. It's a self-paced course online. It costs $1. Okay, sure.
Just got the baby toy.
Okay,
It costs $1, you said?
it costs $1. I'll put in the chat the URL for you.
Okay.
Because it'll help you go step by step from the very beginning to get ready before even before you start your business, so that when you do start, you've done the foundational work that's going to hold you steady and secure. And kind of, you know, give you some guidance so you don't go into overwhelm with the business.
Yeah, I've been feeling a little overwhelmed lately. I'm just nervous, anxious,
I bet.
like a
Well,
lot of anxiety lately.
Chris-
Sort of coming, my anxiety's coming down a little bit now, but now.
Yeah. With your mother in hospice and an adopted baby, and your husband, your support system is elsewhere, I think all three of those, without even counting the business, is a lot. So yeah, my hat's off to you for having the courage to do all these things together. I offer this call the first Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock Central. And so, but you do need to RSVP each month so that I send you the Zoom link. So you're welcome to keep coming.
Bible study class that's starting next week. So
Oh, at the same time?
yeah. For some reason, I think I got Central Time, or I don't know. I thought it was starting at 8. So I was like, oh, I could do Bible study and then hop on this one.
Yeah, right. Well, the Entrepreneur Starter Kit will help you. And in the Starter Kit, it's on an online platform where you can ask questions and I will reply to you in those questions. Okay. And it's like, it has, you do a lesson, you do a little homework, and then you do another lesson. It's kind of like that. And at any point in that, you can ask questions. And so I'd still be available to you in that way.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay. And then are you on my mailing list now, do you think?
I think so. I don't know. I signed up for the classes that are coming up next couple of weeks. Or
Okay, good. Yeah. So you'll know when I offer other things, other ways to, and just be on my newsletter, you'll get more tips and tools for starting your business also. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, and maybe when your Bible study class is over down the road, you'll, you know, want to come to these Tuesday night things too. They're helpful and fun.
For sure. Yeah, it sucks. I just found out about this in Bible study starting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But I guess when I move back to Oregon, things will be at different times again. So maybe it'll work out again.
Yeah, it will. Also, I also have another program called the Nurse Business Incubator, and it includes coaching in different ways than this. So I'll be sending out information about that in the emails in the next few weeks, like right after the interviews with the nurse entrepreneurs. I'll be sending out information about that. So that there'll be that opportunity and other things too to help you.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Well, is your baby right there?
Oh, she's sleeping. We just
Oh,
got her to
good.
sleep.
Okay, I was going to see if I could see her, but that's
Next time.
next time. Yeah, maybe in the future.
She's super cute.
Well, do you have it, like, I guess I want to pause. Do you have one question of any kind that you'd like to ask? Like, is there something on your mind in specific?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Okay. Because I didn't want to blow by it if you had something that I could help you with right now. Okay.
Right now I'm getting a business account set up, I guess. That's what I was working on today.
Yeah, you want to have a checking account for your business and probably a credit card for your business. It can be your personal credit card. You just don't want to use it for personal things. Just dedicate it just to your business. So that only business expenses are on it.
So you can get any credit card you want. It doesn't have to be like, I don't know, a special credit card that says business credit.
Not to start out with.
Another question.
It's hard to get a business credit card until you had some business, until you have a business, you know, until you're making money and stuff. So if you dedicate a card to it, that's your personal card, then down the road after your business is going, you can ask your bank or other, you know, places about a business credit card. That'll work.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you get the URL to the starter kit in the chat? Did you want to? Okay.
So.
Why don't you get that?
looks like it. Oh, whoops. Ah, no, I didn't. Ah. Oh, wait. Ah. Shoot. Ah. Crap.
What's happening?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I got logged off or something. I don't know what's happening.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
I clicked on the link. I can't see you anymore.
Oh, that's okay. You don't need to see me. I'll sign off. If you've got the, if the link opened up a page for you, that's all you need.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Okay,
Okay.
great. I hope I see you again down the road.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.